Good evening and welcome to the July 9th edition of the Downers Grove Village Council meeting. We're glad you're with us tonight. If you're here in council chambers, there are agendas and additional materials on either side of the room. If you're at home watching, you've got the best view because you see us, but also you get the live links on our website. So you should go to downers.us and look at current meeting agendas. You can follow along. Before we get started tonight, let's all get together and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
April, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Gray, Commissioner Colavani,
Here.
Commissioner Sadowski, if you get.
Here.
Commissioner Wallace, Commissioner Earl. Here. Commissioner Jose.
Here.
Mayor Barnett.
Here, thank you. Before we get going tonight, there'll be public comments available in several sections. First is the next agenda item, but also as we hit each agenda item along the way. So if there's anyone who has some comments on an item not on tonight's agenda, please go ahead and approach the podium and tell us what's on your mind.
Good evening. My name is John Schofield. I live at 1125 Jefferson Avenue. I've been a resident for about 25 years. I want to just make three very brief comments about an item on the consent agenda. The third item is to award an engineering contract to close the sidewalk gap on Brookbank south of Jefferson and north of 59th, somewhere about 150 feet. That's now a dirt path and an improvised bridge that a neighbor built over St. Joseph Creek at some point. My three comments are as follows. First of all, I want to thank you. Thank the members of the council in particular, because this has been under discussion in one form or another for several different budget cycles, and I'm glad that it's now come to this step forward. We'll see what we get from the engineers, but I appreciate the council taking the step to move this forward. Secondly, there are several references in the winning proposal from the engineering firm to alternatives that might or might not affect a neighbor, particularly the neighbor just south of this sidewalk gap on the west side of Brookbank. And there are two other neighbors astride the path along Jefferson. And I hope that there is provision to include those three neighbors early in the process. So rather than guessing about how they might feel about various impacts, that the village might actually be transparent with them and give them a chance to express their views of what would work for them or not. I mean, I've talked to them all, and I have a good idea about how they feel, but I'm not in a position to speak for them. But I think they need to be included in the process in one way or another. The rest of us further up and down the block, not so much, but those three neighbors, I think, deserve the openness of a process early and often as you go forward. And then thirdly, there are enough references to poured concrete in the proposal that I want to be sure, although there is a reference, Dave tells me, to boardwalk, I want to be sure that the engineers are allowed to be creative and encouraged to think outside the box. There are some called out already in the proposal, some engineering configuration limitations and stumbling blocks, some grade issues, obviously stormwater storage issues, possible compensatory stormwater storage issues. And in my mind, rather than a 5-foot stripe of concrete with perhaps a lot of earth moving underneath to get the grade right, I'd like to be sure that they give serious consideration to other kinds of alternatives, such as a boardwalk. And that could be built with recycled materials. It wouldn't have to be high maintenance wood. It could be something that the village could easily maintain. So with those three comments, I know it's on the consent agenda, so I don't expect there's any controversy about this, but I just wanted to make those comments on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other public comments for items not on tonight's agenda? Okay, we're going to move on. I've gotten us a little out of order, so is there a motion to approve minutes of prior council meetings?
Mayor Barnett, I move that the council approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you. Moves us on to our consent agenda.
Mayor Barnett, I move that the council adopt the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all. That also is unanimous. Moving right along to our active agenda, we have one active agenda item tonight. Is there a motion to grant historic landmark status?
Mayor Barnett, I move that the council adopt a resolution granting historic landmark designation for 4721 Highland Avenue as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any council comments on this item tonight? The petitioners like to say anything before we move on? Welcome to, if not. Okay. All right then. April, please call the roll.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Colavani?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Aye.
Mayor Barnett?
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. The Andersons here tonight?
On the left.
Anybody? You guys like to come up and get a... Come on up here a minute. I'll come to you. Stay there, that's fine.
Did you guys like a picture as well? It's up to you guys. Morgan's and Kate? All right, thank you so much.
Those are the fun ones, easy ones. That moves us on to our first reading for the evening. Dave, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you, Mayor Barnett. There are 3 items on tonight's first reading agenda. The first is consideration of an ordinance authorizing a special use at 2300 Wisconsin Avenue. Here to present the background information on this petition is our Community Development Director, Stan Popovich.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. As Manager Philman noted, this is a special use for personal vehicle sales at 2300 Wisconsin Avenue. 2300 Wisconsin is in the Ellsworth Industrial Park on the north side of Wisconsin, just west of Belmont. If we zoom in, Unit 101 is in the southwest corner of the property here. The petitioner is requesting approval to allow the sale of pre-owned high-end luxury cars at this location. The layout includes storage here for 6 units, has a small office area on the lower right, and then a washing and detail place there, as well as an auxiliary use to the principal use to just get the cars ready for sale. The property is in the light industrial business park. The comprehensive plan talks about contemporary uses for the industrial park and minimize negative impacts on residential neighborhoods. There will be no outdoor storage for vehicles at sale, just anybody coming to purchase will be able to park outside, but none of the sale vehicles will be parked outside. They'd all be inside as well. The Plan Commission at their last June meeting found that the special use standards for approval were met and recommended approval. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you guys at this time.
Any council questions? Rich, no? Anybody from the petitioner that wants to speak to the subject tonight? No, okay. I just want to say that I'm glad we've got this kind of flexibility built into our ordinance because, as we know, times change and uses change, and the opportunity to take advantage of opportunities and keep a high volume of high-quality commercial operation is important to the village. So thank you for working with the folks to try and make this happen. Let's move on.
Next item is consideration of an ordinance authorizing another special use, this time for the property at 6301 Main. And Stan did such a great job on the last item that I'll have him present this one as well.
Thank you, Manager Fieldman. Good evening again, Mayor and Council. 6301 is at the southeast corner of 63rd Street and Main Street, south of downtown. If we zoom in a little bit, you can see the site outlined here. Zoom in a little further, we can see Main Street on the left, 63rd Street on the north. There's an existing building and a canopy located on the site. The site is principally paved, the majority of it there. There is also a fueling station, one single pump adjacent to the Main Street label there within the property. There are 4 curb cuts associated with the property, 2 on Main Street and 2 on 63rd Street. The petitioner is proposing to demolish the existing building and develop the site with a convenience store and a fuel canopy with some fuel stations underneath. The convenience store would be located in the south side of the property. The fueling canopy would be in between the fueling station and 63rd Street. You can see with the site plan that there's only 2 curb cuts, one on 63rd and one on Main Street, eliminating those curb cuts closest to the intersection, which will help traffic and safety with cars moving in and out of there as well. We also do have a pedestrian connection both to Main Street and to 63rd Street. The Main Street connection will be just a little bit southwest of the building there, and then the 63rd Street connection will be on the east side of the property adjacent to the animal care center that's there already. This is what the proposed building will look like. It's made of fiber cement panels with different colors and patterns in the panels there as well. This is a view looking towards the southwest from sort of underneath the canopy there. And then if we go to the other side, this would be looking towards the southeast from just outside of the canopy as well, basically from the corner looking into the site there as well. Comprehensive plan notes that 63rd Street, this particular corner is neighborhood commercial, which talks about small retail centers and trying to meet the daily needs of residents and service needs. It's also the 63rd Street focus area, so that specific area on the comprehensive plan talks about landscape beautification at corners and commercial expansion at key intersections to improve vitality. The Plan Commission considered this at their June meeting and found that the standards for special use approval were met and recommended approval. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you at this time.
Thank you, Stan. Any council questions on this?
I have no question, but I just want to say that I really appreciate the fact that they thought about the tree canopy, and they're actually going to be adding some shade trees in addition to the smaller ornamental shrubs that are native. So I was really happy to see that on this plan.
Great.
Greg?
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to say thank you to the folks at Vequity. It's nice to see them back again. We've had some pretty successful projects. Staff has spoken very highly, as has the EDC. So glad to see this moving forward, and I think it's going to be a nice addition to 63rd Street. Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks, Greg. Anyone else? Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I concur. I live near that neighborhood, so I pass it all the time. It's great to see a better use, and just by reorienting the buildings, having so much more space, and it's a good complement to the new event center right next door. So it's nice to see that on the corner. Thank Vequity for once again reinvesting in Downers Grove.
Do we know, Stan, if there's any remediation that's going to be done as part of this, or if there's any necessary?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Be interested to know.
We can find out for
Putting
you.
some of those things behind us as well.
Sure.
Thank you. Any questions from folks in the audience? Petitioner, would like to say anything? Please come on up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ivan. I'm with Vequity, representing the developer. To your question, Mr. Mayor, as regards to remediation, every one of our sites, we work with the IPA, we work with the Fire Marshal's Office, we work with basically every governmental agency there is to, first of all, do testing. Every gas station has some kind of an issue. It's usually not major, but we still have to address it. The Fire Marshal has to be also present every single time we pull out existing gas tanks. In this case, we're scraping the entire site, removing all tanks, all pumps, all lines, basically everything. So they have to be present. If there's anything that the investigations missed at phase 2, they require additional testing, and we after that pursue NFR. So we do address the remediation at every step of the way, basically.
Okay.
Furthermore, I would like to thank the staff for all the work that they have done with us to be here again and to present another project. Also, we're happy to be here. So.
Thank you for being here. As Commissioner Jose said, we're excited about doing another project together and looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council questions?
You seem to like corners in Downers Grove.
Yes, we do. We have our eye on some more.
We have a list for you.
Yeah.
I would actually like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on then. Dave?
The final item on tonight's first reading agenda concerns our regional peer jury program, and frankly, we are very excited to share this success story with the council and the community. Here to present an update on our trial period and explain the intergovernmental agreement is Dan Carlson from the manager's office. Dan.
Thank you, Manager Fieldman. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So as Dave just said here, I am here tonight to present the trial report for the Downers Grove Regional Peer Jury Program and talk a little bit about the intergovernmental agreement. So before going into the results of the trial period, I just wanted to give a brief summary of the program. So the Village of Downers Grove operated a regional peer jury program for a 6-month trial period from January to June of this year. Village Council directed staff to begin operating a regional peer jury program due to the indefinite suspension of the Downers Grove Township Peer Jury Program, which began its operations in the year 2000. 7 municipalities, Burr Ridge, Clarendon Hills, Darien, Downers Grove, Hinsdale, Oakbrook, and Willowbrook participated in the program during the trial period. The Village of Downers Grove staff operated the program, and each municipality shared the total cost of the program that was determined on a cost-per-case basis. Peer jury programs are established as a diversionary justice program to keep young people who committed certain offenses out of the criminal justice system. These offenses have to be minor in nature and have to be a first-time offense. Peer jury does not determine guilt or innocence. Peer jurors attempt to understand why the offender committed the offense and then determine the consequences to help the offender be accountable for their actions and further develop the offender into an upstanding member of the community. So Downers Grove and the participating municipalities established an operating plan which outlined a set of objectives for the program to meet during the initial 6 months of the program. As you can see up here, we had a target of 3 to 8 municipalities, and we were able to have 7 participate in the program. Exactly 8 high schools were able to participate on the peer jury side of the program. We processed 22 cases, and we were under budget with total expenses of the program just a little bit over $7,000. Here is kind of a breakdown of the number of peer jurors, the number of cases, and the offender origin over the course of the trial period. As you can see up top, Downers Grove, highlighted in yellow, has 16 jury participants. We submitted 14 cases and had 3 offenders from the Village of Downers Grove. Now, upon completion of the trial period, village staff met with other participating municipalities to report the results of the program and determine any next steps going forward. Each municipality stated that participating in the program was a very positive experience and would like to continue participating in the program should it continue. Village staff does recommend that the peer jury program should continue on a permanent basis going forward, with the recommendation to limit the jury pool to 52 jurors. Each municipality would get a percentage of these jurors based off of the municipal population, and they would be in charge of selecting their jurors as well. This change will help minimize the cost of jury recruitment and orientation. It will help optimize the scheduling and coordination between staff and the jurors of the program, and it will also give all jurors a chance to actively participate in the program. A resolution has been prepared with this report to execute an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Downers Grove and the other participating municipalities, which would allow the Downers Grove Regional Peer Jury to continue on a permanent basis. So at this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding this agenda item. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Any council questions or comments?
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. I just want to thank staff for putting the report together, and more importantly, for putting the program together. This is a ball that the Downers Grove Township set down, and we picked up after some delay, and hope that the township might pick it back up again. And we've, I think, truly done this in the Downers Grove way. We brought other communities together, created a regional solution, did it on time, under budget, and with greater efficiencies. And I think it's something we should all be proud of. So I'm thrilled by the success of the program so far, and I'm looking forward to the future. Thank you, Mayor.
Agreed. Thanks, Greg.
I did have one question for you, Mayor.
Hang on 1 second, Marge.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say thank you to the police department, because by and large, most of these cases came from us. And that just really shows the dedication by the police department to bring this forward. So thank you to them as well.
Thanks, Marge. Rich?
Yeah, I did have a question. Now, you said the jury is not determining guilt, but does a participant have to admit guilt to participate?
That is correct. Yeah, they would admit guilt at first, and then they determine the punishment, so to speak, or the corrective actions.
Any audience questions or comments on the subject? I just want to say thank you to a couple folks. I want to say thank you to the previous council, too, for kicking this thing off in January. It is an important thing that I think, as Greg said, we've managed to find a Downers Grove way of successfully moving forward. But I also want to thank the Burr Ridge, Clarendon Hills, Darien, Hinsdale, Oak Brook, and Willowbrook. There is a certain economy to putting a program together, and a certain efficiency and opportunity when more than one group gets involved. And so that regional solution, as Greg mentioned, is a good one, but it requires other participants, so thank you to them as well. And with that, I don't have any other questions. Thanks, Dan. Oh, go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I really appreciate the program. The trial was a great success. I'm certainly this is saving the taxpayers a lot of money as opposed to having to go through the criminal system, and more importantly, getting young people on the right path. And from what I remember from the other meetings, that the recidivism rate was extremely low with this program, so very positive.
Just like to add a couple of special thank yous as well. Thank you, Mayor Barnett, for mentioning the entire team, including other municipalities led by our council, providing this direction for this program. It's certainly a team effort up and down multiple police departments, including our own members of our police department. But I wanted to especially thank Dan and Deputy Chief Mike DeVries, because they really made this project and program their own, and the leadership they exhibited was exceptional. Well done, and thanks for the council. We'll continue to report out as we move forward.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you so much.
That is our first reading tonight, Mayor Barnett. Thank you.
Thank you. You're not off the hook. Got a manager's report tonight?
No report tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
And the attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 items tonight to present. The first is an ordinance authorizing a special use for 2300 Wisconsin, Unit 101, to permit a personal vehicle sales business. And the other is an ordinance authorizing a special use for 6301 Main Street to permit a fueling station. Both will be on next week's active agenda. Thank you, Mayor. That is all I have tonight.
Thank you, Enzo. Council member reports. Marge?
No report, Mayor.
Greg?
No report, Mayor. Thank you.
Rich?
Just a brief one. I wanted to thank staff for the thoughtful work in the stormwater questions and the council questions. Those in Downers Grove who are interested in this subject, this would be a delightful time to go in this week's meetings. Click on that item, and everything you needed to know. It's a very complicated subject, but this is a good summary. So good staff work in a short period of time.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll post that on the stormwater page as well.
Leslie?
No report, Mayor.
Piggyback off of Rich a little bit. If we could find a way, I was looking over the weekend at some of our stormwater stuff, to make it easy from our stormwater page to find the utility videos. That would be kind of cool. There's a lot of really good stuff there. If you're bored and you're interested in stormwater, YouTube, the village's video page, and search for Y-O-U-Tility, stormwater utility. A couple of years ago when we were kicking around the stormwater utility, there was a lot of really good work done by staff with some video presentations, which frankly are more entertaining than some of the reading that's possible. So take a look at that.
I would be remiss if I didn't jump in there and say we received first place national award for the work led by Doug and Chris Durlow, and that they did a fantastic job on those videos. They are fun to watch and informative. So
award-winning videos. Fantastic. The only other thing I had to add, I just wanted to thank my colleagues and our staff and our residents for 4th of July parade. We were blessed with some good weather and a lot of participants, and it was fun to see everybody up and down the streets enjoying the afternoon. So thank you all, and thank you all for a fantastic 4th of July. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you. Good night.